My name's Steve, and as anyone who's gotten into espresso, maybe purchased the Flair 58, one of the most valuable things you need is countertop space. In today's video, I want to show you how I'm going to take my Flair 58 with its accessories, and instead of needing it all laid out on my countertop all the time, I'm going to make it portable and self-contained, and I'm going to go from this to this. Everything all contained, easily able to pick it up, move it around, and store it off to the side in my counter. And a couple of tools I used in this process is 3D scanning and 3D printing. So I'm going to take a look at how did I go about coming up with a design to fit everything on the Flair 58, all of the accessories, easily storable, and a great way to save countertop space. So let's take a look. So the first thing we need to do in order to get this attached to the Flair 58 is we're going to need to remove the brew head. Once you have everything removed, I've done a bunch of iterations of this, but this was the first model that is really just meant to hold the power brick and the power setting controller. And it has some adapters, some feet on the bottom of it that clamp to the underside. You take the holder, you're going to slide it over, it'll sit at a slight angle, and then you just have to push down and that will lock it into place with the feet that grab it. So now it's in place. If you ever need to remove it, you just simply pull up from the back and it's very easy to remove. So once it's on there, not much to it, pretty simple. Normally I would put the brew head back on, but I'm going to leave it off to make this a little easier to see. So the next thing you want to do, I recommend disconnecting the controller. That simply sits into the holder. And the way I've designed this is the connector to the power brick can go underneath and will actually fit in between the back of the Flair 58 arm and the power brick sits in here. So we're going to take now the power brick, and for this you want the portion that is going to go to your wall outlet to be facing down, and then the wire that is going to go to the controller unit should be facing up when you put this in. And this simply slides into place very easily into the back. And now there's a little bit of cord management you'll have to do. So the portion of the cord that goes to the group head for the heat, which one is here, is going to go like this. So I just have it going up and around and it connects. The portion that gets connected to the controller, you can just pull that, but I have that through the middle. Right here through the middle, and that can just connect to the power brick. Then it's really a matter of tucking it in behind. You can also take, if you have a twist tie, and just tie those together to tidy it up a little bit. And then once you have all of that in place at the back, the cord itself just slides into this holder. And now everything is contained in one unit that you can move around on your counter, and if you need to then plug it in, but everything stays self-contained with the power brick and with the controller. controller. And so that was my basic first model. And the beauty with 3D printing is you can always iterate and come up with different designs and features while still maintaining the same concept of what I've already created. So from this, I created this, a much larger version that now takes into account some of the accessories that come with the Flair 58, as well as some that I've 3D printed. So, same concept, same design, but with additional capabilities. You're going to slide it on the same way. This one I added a little tab here to hold it in the back. Don't really need it, but iterations. Clamp it down. Same exact holder for the power as well as for the controller. But in this case, I can now take some of my Flair accessories that came with the Flair 58 and also add them to this caddy holder. I have the tamper, the palm tamper, that I made to just slide onto the side. I have the thin puck screen that I have a slot over here to hold the puck screen. I also have my portafilter and basket that can slide on and stay there. I now have all of my accessories mounted directly onto the Flair 58 that I can now lift this off of my counter, move it wherever I want to, store it any way that I want to, and all of those accessories stay right with the unit itself. And going one step further, as I started buying different accessories for the Flair 58, I was able to adapt the caddy holder as I bought a different tamper from the palm tamper. I also purchased a thicker puck screen. So for that, I made a mount that I can either mount the tamper that way, or I can flip it over, and as long as the handle fits, the handle will hold. I added the ability to put both puck screens onto the side. And this will still now hold all of everything else that we saw before. So many different variations depending on my needs and what others might find useful. And in addition to all the variations I made on my Flair 58 caddy, I've also created some other 3D objects done on my 3D printer to enhance my workflow and make things easier to use the Flair 58. I have a dosing cup that I created. I can put my beans in here, weigh them on the scale, pour them into my hand grinder, and a nice easy way to use that with the spritzer. I have created a preheating holder to preheat the portafilter and the puck screen. So this has a lip on it. I can take off the cover from my kettle, put this on, take out the basket, put it here, take the puck screen, set it in the basket, and now as my kettle heats up, so does the basket and the puck screen. As that's heating up, I then need to take that off when it's done, dry it off, and I have a tamping holder and a tamping station and a dosing funnel. So the dosing funnel can fit onto here. It actually stays in place, so even if I wanted to store this with the dosing funnel on it, one less thing I have to find counter space for. And I can lock this into there to do my tamping. It will stay in one unit, so if I wanted to tap it down, And all of that then comes apart and can be stored separately or underneath the Flair 58 when I put it up against my countertop. Trying to keep everything self-contained in as small amount of counter space as possible has been my objective. And so hopefully I've given you some inspiration. If you've seen anything here, maybe you don't have a 3D printer. Maybe you like some of the things I've created. I'll do a little self-promotion. I do have an Etsy store that I do have some of these items for sale. Some of the different variations of the Flair 58 caddy that I created. Anything that you purchased there just helps me with my hobby, coming up with more creative designs that I can hopefully share with you along the way. And if you found this helpful, enjoyed it, like, subscribe, helps me out a lot, and I hope to see you in the next one. And I have a tamping. No, you good? And then once you have the brew head, group head, the heating chamber, whatever we want to officially call it,